why we chose him. Dr. Mitchell is a former high school administrator like myself, and although we never crossed paths, we've shared a lot of good stories about our previous days in secondary education, and I think we're both happier now we're out of that. We lost all of our hair back then. Both of us.
Well, you have kids, don't you?
Yeah.
They're
He does too.
Yes.
He has a newborn, a newborn.
Yes.
Keeps him up late at night.
Yes, he
That's
does.
the joy. That's the joy in parenthood.
Okay, let's give him your attention and thank him for coming. You want
I was
to
asked to talk a little bit about academic misconduct. Misconduct. In other words, cheating, plagiarism, those things. So we'll go through. I've got a little PowerPoint, not a lot. I'm not going to talk a lot about the PowerPoint. I'll have there's a cool little video if it'll load, kind of a funny little video talking about different things. But basically, academic misconduct is just what it says. It is cheating. What is cheating? You guys know what cheating is. Never done it before in your life. If you haven't, you're probably not telling the truth. I was reading through statistics today about, and this is just the people who are willing to admit it, 87% of all high school students admitted to cheating in one form or another. So, if you have, I'm not going to condone it, but on the other hand, I'm going to say you're one of the crowd. The problem is the changes in attitude in cheating and people doing things they shouldn't be doing have started to change to where people believe that it's just a little cheating. Now, we'll discuss the difference between high school and a university when it comes to cheating here in a minute. But there are totally different ideals and ideas behind it. So, what are some forms of cheating? Well, you know the simple one, looking off another person's paper. Showing your answers to someone else, you know that's cheating. Here, as we're getting more and more advanced with technology and your smartphones, people putting all the answers or all their notes on their smartphone and then looking at it. Or taking in a math class and taking it and pre-programming their calculator with all the formulas to where all they have to do is punch in the numbers and there it is. That would be misconduct. That would not be cool. Using concealed info from the test. A cheat sheet. I don't know of anybody who has anybody never made a cheat sheet?
What happens when teachers actually allow you like a little cheat sheet in class?
That's different. They're allowing that. That's okay. That's okay. If they say it's okay.
It's like when you write on your arm.
Yeah, when you write on your arm. Or I knew a guy who had a big, huge watch, and he'd write all these little bitty notes on his behind it, and put it in a piece of paper behind his watch. And when nobody's looking, he'd slide it out. Yeah.
Really?
So I'm not trying to give you ideas. That's not the point.
Right.
But cheating. Whenever you use a cheat sheet, letting someone else do your assignment. Well, most of that doesn't happen as much on the college level as it does on the K-12 level, simply because you're here paying for this. Somebody else does your work and bombs it, and that's your fault for letting them do that. Using the same assignment for multiple classes. I put a little asterisk there because you will find there's some.
That's okay though.
I was going to say there are some that will there are some professors that will encourage you to do that. If you've already read the article and you've already written a paper on it, and there's something similar in another class, you'll have some professors and some instructors say, of course you should do it. Now, don't just change the title page and hand it in. You need to specialize it towards that assignment. But if you've already done the work, why do it all over again? Some will say that. Others will say, if you hand in an assignment that you did in another class and you don't tell that professor that you already did this in another class, you should be kicked out of the university. And that's one of the differences between high school and university. In high school, if you cheat, you don't get kicked out of class. You don't get kicked out of the school. You might get an F on the paper, and we'll have to redo it, something like that. Here, as I was doing the research to talk to you all about this, Harvard, yes, Harvard University, Harvard College. Which one it is? They had one of the largest cheating scandals in the history of their university just a few years ago. An entire class cheated on a test. They, 30-some people in the class, they expelled, not suspended, not F in the class, not F on the paper. They expelled the entire class and told them, you can never come back to this university ever again. We are kicking you out and you're done. If you want to go to a different college, fine, go for it, but you're done at Harvard. And it went on their transcript that they were expelled out of school. That's the only thing we do at Missouri Southern. You can get an F in a class, you can do a whole bunch of different things. You can even I can even suspend you out of the university for a year. None of that goes on your transcript. But if I kick you out forever, expel you, and say you never come back, that goes on your transcript. So if you go to a different university and they say, we want to order your transcript from Missouri Southern, and I have expelled you, which means you're done here and you're never coming back, that goes on your transcript. That's a bad thing. So Harvard did it for cheating on a test. So did they send a message? Yes, sir.
Did you see the University of North Carolina football player who copied a paper from an 11-year-old?
Yeah.
Did he pass?
What?
No, he got caught. That's why I made this book. I'm like, that's pretty bad when a college student's copying off an 11-year-old.
Pretty good.
That's pretty sad.
I wouldn't say that was, that's one of the things we'll talk about in a minute. This is you. This is you. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, this kind of relates to a story my English teacher told me a while ago. She said she had a student a while back that actually bribed her to give him an A in her class. And he was an athlete with a full ride scholarship.
That's not a good idea.
No.
Not a good idea. When I was a high school teacher, I had the standing rule. If you write me a $5,000 check, you get an A. You know how many people took me up on that? None, ever. And would I have really accepted the $5,000 check? No, I wouldn't have. That was a joke. They all understood it. But, I mean, no, that's probably not a good idea.
No, she actually reported him and he got expelled.
Yeah, that's what would probably happen. Taking a test for another person, that's a bad idea. Let's see if this will load for us.
Okay, I'm in humanities class taking a test, and in the corner of my eye, I notice a very suspicioso-looking book chilling underneath somebody's desk. And then a few seconds later, I see an equally suspicioso toe creep in and turn the page. And I'm like, oh, how cute. Somebody's cheating. See, in high school, if the teacher catches you cheating, you get an F in the class. In college, they kick you out of school, so it's a different ballgame. So I will take my F like a whip house. Thank you very much. Then this girl, Sarah, takes a piece of paper and hands it back to my boy, Sean, sitting next to me. And I'm like, oh, Sean, I didn't know it was like that. I thought we was friends. He didn't even include me on this whole little cheating operation they got going on. But Sean sees me see him, and he comes up to me in the hallway after class. He's like, yo, Donde, if you want, I can hand you the answers, while we taking the test. And I looked up at him and I was like, 9! And this would have been the first time that I actually did the free throw. See, cheating is an art, okay? So you don't use elementary cheat tactics in college. That's insulting. This is serious business, and when I get involved, junk gets real. And y'all already know, when I cheat, I go all out. I assemble a team, I get matching Mini Coopers for all of us, I enlist the aid of a tiny little Asian man to crawl through the ventilations, and by this point, I had already given up my bad boy ways. I'm on the road less traveled. So I declined affiliation with this rudimentary, outdated cheating tactics. The next test, oh look, a lone book coincidentally open. I wonder how that got there. And it'd have been so easy for me to cheat because the teacher was not paying attention. We sat in the back row. At this point, it's free money. Imagine walking by an ATM and it's just spitting out money and everybody's going crazy. Oh my God, look at all this free money. And you're the only person being honest and not taking any of it. It was at this point that I devised Plan B because I saw where all this was going. Every test they're getting A's, I'm getting C's, and sometimes worser. And then semester rolls around, last test before the final. I start getting toward the end of the test, and I realize, you ain't gonna get a good grade in this class, bro. Execute Plan B. I put a little note at the bottom of the page, and please see back. I start, Dear Mr. Osborne, bro, I've been struggling the entire semester trying to get a good grade in this class. I can't get it. And I don't know if you noticed, but people in your classroom be cheating, dog. I ain't gonna say no names because I ain't no snitch, okay? But they might have even asked me to cheat with them, and I said, "Nine." And it's really hard to be an honest student getting bad grades and sitting by all semester watching dishonest students get good grades. Holla at a player. I'm just saying. I ain't no snitch. So don't even try to ask me who it is. I don't know if you got some extra credit I could probably do to get my grade up, but if you do, I'd appreciate it. Please let me know. Yo, homie, Swoozy. Next day, teacher calls me into his office, and I'm like, yeah, Mr. Osborne, you wanted to see me about something? He's like, yeah, I read your little whatever on the back of your test. I'm like, hey, I hope you ain't calling me in here to rat on nobody, because I ain't no snitch, okay? No, I didn't call you in here for that. I was actually gonna... Okay, listen, fine. Since you put a gun to my head, I'll tell you. It's Sean and Sarah. They've been cheating all semester, and you don't even be paying attention. I know you over there doing your thing, but they be cheating every test, and they get A's, and I get F. I'm just kidding, guys. I didn't snitch. I ain't no rat. But he was like, yeah, if you want extra credit, do X, Y, Z, turn it to me by this day, and I'll accept it. I got a C in that class. Holla at your boy. Now, granted, guys, a C is nothing to aspire after. However, being an honest student and sticking to your morals, that is.
Darn cute.
So, that was simply ethics, talking about ethics and what to believe in and what should you do. Why should you remember some things that you probably hadn't thought about when it comes to cheating. You get caught cheating in a class, the professor may not fail you. They may ask you, just fail you on that paper. It depends on the professor. It's all over the board. Since I've been here, I've had professors call and say, I have a student cheating, I'm going to make them retake the paper, or redo the paper. Okay? I've had professors call me and say, I have a student cheating, I want to give them a failing grade on this, what they were cheating on. Okay? I've had a student cheating, I want them out of my class and hung if possible. Okay, we're not going to do that. And then finally, I've had them, I had a student cheating on a paper, I want them kicked out of class, I want them out of the university, and I want them expelled. So I've had every extreme from I'm going to make them redo it, to failing on that paper, to failing the class, to please kick them out and hunt them down and kill them. I've had all of that. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but yes, kick them out of school and make sure they never come back. So you can see that you've got some university professors who are pretty lenient. Okay, they did something stupid, I'm not going to hold them on too hard. To, this is the worst thing they could ever do, get them out of school. So, have you thought about, you get caught by a professor and you're cheating, think about your major area. You cheat on something in your major area, how many more times are you going to have that same professor in class? Several times. What have you just ruined? Not you, I'm not saying you did it, I'm just saying someone who does it. That trusting relationship. As you go out into the world to try and get jobs, who are you going to place on your resume as a reference?
Your teachers.
Specifically, your teachers in your major area. So once you have done that, you find yourself in a place that's going to make it very difficult for them to write a good recommendation for you. Some things you need to think about. Professors are also very good at catching cheaters. Remember high school, was your high school teacher always looked like their hair was on fire because they were so busy. College professors, a full load is 12 hours. 12 hours a semester. That's 4 classes. 4 1 hour or 1 hour and 15-minute classes. They have some time. Now that time is supposed to be spent doing research and doing those things, but a lot of them have enough time to go and check and double check and triple check everything you hand them to make sure that it is legitimately your work. And we'll go into using other people's work here in a minute. The other thing you need to remember is college is not like high school. College is competitive. You are competing with the other people in your class for the job you're eventually going to go get. And some people take that very, very seriously, which means if they see you cheating, they might walk straight up to the professor and say, "He's cheating. I saw him." It could happen. It's very competitive. People are going to take that very seriously. So don't put yourself in that situation. That's the whole point of it. Okay. Plagiarism. We talked a little bit about cheating and what it is. Let's get into specifics. Plagiarism. Anybody know what plagiarism is?
Using somebody else's words from maybe their essay into your own essay without citing it.
Yep, without citing. That's exactly right. What is it? Plagiarism is using someone else's information and presenting it as your own. Using somebody else's study, something else, and then not citing them and not giving them credit. That's what plagiarism is. There's really 2 different kinds of it. Intentional plagiarism and unintentional plagiarism. That's pretty cut and dry. It's not too hard. What is intentional plagiarism? That's blatant cheating. That's purchasing a pre-written paper off the internet. If you go if you go Google or Bing, I guess I'm not going to ever get used to Bing, but go Google pre-written papers, college papers. You will find, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 pages of different, totally different ones. It is a huge market. Don't do that. Because most of those papers you buy off those have already been handed in a whole bunch of different places. It's not like they're writing a paper for you specifically. If you have an American history paper over George Washington, they'll go in and look in their database of George Washington ones and send you one. And you can turn it in. Most likely at this point, it's not going to work because most colleges, including this one, have given faculty an actual, software. There's software that will identify things that have been written before. So if you go buy a pre-written paper, that can happen. Someone else writing a paper for you, it depends on. I never did that because I never trust anybody to write a paper good enough.
Right.
Hey, this is my grade. By golly, I'm not gonna. Even if I thought the person was smarter than me and could write better than me, I'm not doing that. I don't trust them. What if I don't want somebody writing a D paper. Heck, I can write a D paper. So, paying someone to write your paper, there are things out there where you can go and find someone and tell them specifically, this is what the paper I need, and they will write it for you for a cost. You can send them your professor's syllabus and say, this is what they want. Here's the assignment. They'll do it for you. And it's an original paper and it's written for you. You got to pay for it. That comes the ethics question that our little cartoon was talking about a little while ago. That becomes the ethics question. Can you probably get away with that? Yeah, probably get away with that. However, here's the thing. Mr. Jackson writes a paper. The first paper he writes, there's a whole lot of spelling errors, punctuation errors, and just the general flow of how he writes it. Doesn't do so well on it, say he gets a D on it. Suddenly his next paper is perfect. He gets an A on it. You think the person with the higher degree in education is going to be able to go, oh man, Mr. Jackson improved so much from that first paper to the second paper. I'm the greatest teacher in the world. Or is the professor going to go, hold on a second. This was not very good. This is perfect. How did that happen? And it's been 3-4 weeks, a month between this paper and this paper. They did not become an outstanding writer in 4 weeks. Becoming an outstanding writer takes years. And it takes just doing it. So you can do that. However, the difficult part is, your professors are smarter than that. Submitting someone else's work as your own. Creating phony citations. In other words, making them up. I got this out of Newsweek. It was written by Ron Mitchell in 1987. Of course, if you're citing something from 1987, that's probably not good. You might want to go a little more modern. But you make it up, you put it in there, this great quote in there, and none of it's true. Guess what? There's software for that as well. And most of your professors, think about this. If a professor gives you an assignment on a paper, and they've been teaching, 6, 7 years, they teach the same class first semester, second semester, first semester, second semester, and they give the same writing assignment, do you think after a while they get a pool of articles that the students are reading about this paper and about that topic? The answer is yes. They're going to have a pool, basically the same articles. Somebody's going to do a Google search or do whatever search you're going to do a Wilson search in the library for those articles. The same articles are going to come up over and over and over and over again. And suddenly they have this outlier. They've never seen it before. Do you think they're going to go check? The answer is yes, they are. They're going to go check. So as you think, everything you can think of has already been done when it comes to this stuff. Don't think hey, I just invented a new way to cheat. Oh, sorry, probably not. And creating phony citations happens more than you think. In my dissertation program, somebody got kicked out for creating phony citations in their dissertation. That's just stupid. Wow. Put in all that work and then just get desperate? We all just shook our heads about that one. That was intentional plagiarism, where you go out and your goal is to falsify the information. Unintentional plagiarism, when you put something in there and then that's not your knowledge, and you just got it from somewhere else, and you don't cite it. Sometimes you read something and you kind of go and you just type it out, and you forget that you did that. You just read it somewhere, and you type it almost word for word, even though you read it and it became your knowledge. If you type it back out almost word for word, the professors are going to go, "Oh, they just stole that and didn't cite it. That's not their words." So unless you summarize and change it to other people's words, then that's unintentional. That's what happens a lot. You read something, and then oh yeah, I know that. You type it up, or you write it up, and you hand it in, and you're like, yeah, I knew that. And you forget where you learned it, but you don't cite it. That happens all the time. A lot of the times the professors will go, where'd you learn this? And if you can give them the knowledge, what they will do is say, okay, go back and cite that. Where did you get this knowledge? They won't hammer you on that, because if you can come back and say, I learned it, I think I read that somewhere, and they'll go, well, remember to cite it. Most of them will do that. They're not out to get you. They just want you to learn how to do it right. Failure to quote or block quotes author's exact words, even if cited. That's a hard one. Happens all the time. That's where, Dr. Mitchell said, and then you just forget to put the quotes in. That's unintentional, not a big deal. I mean, in your master's thesis, yeah, that's a big deal. Here, as undergraduates and learning how to write, that's not as big a deal. You need to learn how to do it right, but it's not going to be a career-ending mistake. Failure to paraphrase in your own words, yeah, even if you document it. If you cite it and it's exactly the same as somebody out of the book and you don't cite it correctly, then it's unintentional. Failure to put summary in your own words. Don't just type the summary out word for word and then cite it. Put it in your own words. This is stuff that happens, but it's not the end of the world. I ran this off today so you guys could see it. It's just top 10 reasons why you shouldn't even think about buying a research paper. We just talked about that. It'll give you a whole lot of stuff I just talked about. On the back of that are some websites to help you with writing, which we'll get to here in a second. Do not, there's no other way to put it. Don't cut and paste an article from a website. Don't do that. People do it all the time. Don't do that. I mean, it happens every day. Don't just make things up. That sounds silly, but people do it. Don't add extra sources into your bibliography to make it, that's called padding your references, where you just add stuff. You know, if you're told to read 5 articles and cite four of the 5 articles and you put 11 articles in there but you didn't really read them all, that's padding your bibliography. Now, if you have stuff in your bibliography that you did not cite in your paper, that's okay as long as you read the information. If you read the article, put it in your bibliography. If you read the book, put it in your bibliography, even if you don't cite any information for it. Why would you do that? It's called background knowledge. If you're going to write a paper, if you're going to write, at some point, some of you will have to write a 15-page paper. If you're going to write a 15-page paper, you can't write a 15-page paper from 4 articles. You just can't do it. So, as you're doing your research and you're getting your articles, you're reading your books, you're going to end up reading things that don't necessarily have, you're going to think, oh, this pertains to what I'm writing about, but it may not. But it may give you ideas to do research elsewhere, and if you read the article, you put it in your bibliography.
Okay.
That way, I mean, if your professor comes back and you're going to have to be able to talk about that article, if they come back and say, well, why did you put this in your bibliography? You can say, well, as I was reading this article, it occurred to me that this could come from, that this idea comes from here, and then I did a little more research and I put that into the paper. So I wanted to put this in my bibliography because it helped me reach the point of my paper where I was. That helped me reach the conclusion for my paper.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you read the article, put it in your bibliography. Do's. Collaborate with others when writing a paper. You betcha. Write a paper, have somebody proofread it for you. Make sure, use I'll get to it here in a second, but go to the Student Success Center. Boy, we just changed it. Go to the Student Success Center. Go there. They will help you. Yes, work with other people. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, work with other people and turn in your own work, but work with other people. That's called learning. Collaborate with others. Do use quotation marks, footnotes, and all the other things that go along with it. One of the best things that you can do is the parenthetical documentation, which we're not going to go into here, but I'm going to give you some sites to. I've got 3 sites on here that will do everything, tell you everything you need to know to write a paper. And that's what's on the back of there. There's the OWL Writing Lab through Purdue is excellent. It is excellent. It will take you through the entire how to write a paper. Everything you need to know. It's excellent. So these are things to keep in mind when you sit down to write a paper and you're not sure what format to put it in, you're not exactly sure what to do, go to these websites and they will walk you through it. Step by step by step. Now, it's not the best, it's not the most exciting reading in the world. However, it will help you get through it. And it won't, the only way to get to be a better writer is to write more. That's the only way to do it. And get better and use the people around you. Collaborate, use those people, have them proofread it for you. That's a great, have a friend proofread it. And has anybody ever told you the best way to look for mistakes in a paper is to read it backwards?
No.
That's where you will see modern times when you type something in a paper, if you put 2 thes like the, it'll tell you. But if you put they instead of the, it won't tell you because it's not misspelled. So read it backwards, because if you read it forward, your mind will put the right word in there even if it's not the right word. If you read it backwards,
That's kind
You
of
read each individual word and you'll find out, wait, well, I just put him, or I just put he instead of she, or I just put her instead of his. And I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but when I type, I leave word. I have to go back and reread what I've written a lot, because a lot of times when I type, I think it, but I don't actually type it. So there's big gaps in what I've written, and I go, what does that mean? But read it backwards, word for word, and that helps you find mistakes. Also, have somebody help you look for punctuation. I don't know about anybody else. Yes, I've written a dissertation. Yes, I'm supposed to be really smart. I use commas way too much. I'm a comma fool. But I know that about myself, and that's one of my huge writing problems is when I write something, I put lots of commas in there that don't need to be in there. And I still don't know the rule when you use a semicolon and a colon. Couldn't tell you. But that's why you get those people who know that stuff and have them help you with your paper. I did anyway. Scholarly procedures. You will find as you're writing papers at any university, especially here, there are two main groups. There's three really, but Southern uses just basically these. APA and MLA. APA is going to be in your English classes and those classes. MLA is most likely going to be in your social science classes. I don't know why, but they like to use different methods of writing. And they assess it differently. In other words, they test you over it differently, and when you write a paper, they look for different things. APA is 1.5 inch margins all the way around. MLA is 1 inch margins all the way around. When you fire up Word on your computer, it's automatically set at 1.5 inch margins all the way around. So you need to look for that.
Oh.
Yep, so there are different styles. Those are both on, I think those are both on the back there as well. Yeah, they don't tell you, that'll be in their syllabus, but
I
they
got
might
one more
not tell
semester
you.
left, and I'm just learning this stuff.
Helpful writing websites, the OWL at Purdue, the Duke Library has one that walks you all the way through it, and then BedfordMartins.com, that's just a writing center. Those are 3 very good places to help you learn how to write a paper, so you're not lost. And the World Wide Web is a wonderful thing as long as you go to the right sites. Don't go to a site that promises you an A paper, because it's already been an A paper. The Student Success Center, Hearns Hall, room 301. There's the, I don't know if I put that there. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a teacher that, I won't name names, you guys will know, but I have a teacher that after every sentence you write, you have to, put the page number.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Is that something that is commonly?
No.
Okay.
Most,
And I don't know if she's just wanting to go back and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to and reading what we're supposed to, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But, it's a lot of work, and it's hard.
Papers are hard.
I'm not sure
Never
why
come across
that teacher would do that, that instructor would do that, but I think the idea behind what they're probably doing is just double checking and making sure you're doing the reading, and that way they can do it, because you're all writing the same paper,
Right.
you're getting the same ideas, or you're getting them from the same place.
Well, and it's all a summary of, the
She
chapter.
just had a cite as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might be just overemphasizing the need, the importance of, if it's not your thought, don't present it as your thought.
She's real big on that.
I'm not sure I know how to go back now, because everything I do for any other class, I'm like, no, don't do that,
Right.
It's pretty
Yes.
serious.
No, and it's probably just an emphasization, I can't say that word, to make sure you're citing things correctly.
Yeah, that's
Some
she's real stickler for that.
some instructors will go to a very high level to make sure that you're doing things right. And even though it's a pain while you're doing it, when you go into another class, hopefully it helps you.
I found this funny. I just had a lecture about plagiarism and citations today in English class.
It's a kind of a big deal.
Yes, it is, and I agree. Like writing an English paper is not really that easy, especially research papers, because those take a lot more work.
Yep. But well, what you'll find is that the more you do, and the more papers you write, you'll get to the point where an instructor gives you a 3-page paper, and whereas you're a freshman and a sophomore, you're like, God, 3 pages. Then you get to be a senior and like, I only get 3 pages to say what I need to say. And you really go to, I only get 3 pages? Can I make the margins bigger? I mean, you'll get there. You'll take that turn to where you're going, man, I got a lot more to say about this.
Like 3 pages isn't, I really don't mind 3 pages because like, okay, that's not like nothing. Right now, like our research paper has to be 8 to 11 pages and I'm like, I'm
The
not.
big thing, the thing about longer papers is find more sources that say the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
but I
where
don't think
when you write a paper, if they say have 5 sources for an 8 to 11 page paper, 5 sources? My gosh, for an 8 to 11 page paper, you probably got to have 25 sources and read that many. And then if you read that many, it's all about the work up front. It's like anything you ever do. If you're going to build a house, you have to build the foundation first. You can't put the walls up. So when you go to write a paper, I know it sounds tedious. Here's the way I did it. I would read an article, and if there was something I wanted to say, I'd read the article, and as I read the article, I'd highlight what I wanted to say, what I wanted to cite in my paper. I'd highlight it, and then I'd read the next article, and then I'd highlight the things I want to say in that one. Then I'd read the next article. Yeah, you got to read a bunch of articles or a bunch of books or whatever you're reading. Yes, you have to do that. That's part of it. You are in college. You have to read stuff. Sorry, hate to break it to you, but you got to read some stuff. And if you read, don't do it. You can't do it all in one day. And no, contrary to what you think, you don't do your best work starting your paper that's due on Friday, Thursday at 11:30. You don't do your best work then. You may think, yeah, I thought I'm good at this. No, you don't.